My name's Adam Gilreath. I work in the admissions department, and today we have a wonderful guest to talk a little bit about recovery, mental health, overcoming difficulties. I'm here with
Miriam Yerushalmi.
You wanna tell me a little bit about yourself?
Ever since I was little, I couldn't stand the suffering of the world. I would just be in pain when I'd see other people in pain, and I was just driven to find out what can I do, like, to help people. And thank God, through my own journeys and realizing the specialness of every person that's going through their challenges, is just been so far remarkable to be part of this team here. Very special souls that are struggling, and I mostly try to focus on the fact that they are unique and gifted, rather than that they are challenged or have a problem.
Absolutely. And we were talking a little bit about that before we started the interview, and we were talking about how the foundation of that is the acceptance.
Yes.
You wanna explain that a little bit?
Yes. You see, an average person may not be as sensitive. They actually can be maybe somewhat cold-hearted. Maybe even their brain is designed to be more rational than emotional. And another person is born with a more emotional part of their brain developed by genetics. So they're more sensitive. They feel pain. They feel so much pain that they want to escape the pain. And so they tend to want to run after the pleasures of the world, whether it's alcohol or drugs, to help get them away from the pain. And helping people understand that they are so gifted, actually, to have that sensitive, emotional part of their brain be their godly gift. Because these are the type of people that are warm and loving. They're the type of people, if when they realize this precious gift that they have can be channeled toward loving relationships, toward a drivenness to make a difference in the world, toward acts of kindness and beauty that is brought to the world, that the average person that may be more rational, and they have their gift and they're going to use it to change the world in their way, and they'll handle life the way they want to handle it. But what typically happens in society, whether it's the parents, whether it's the school teacher or that bus driver, that just makes these type of people feel like they're babies, they're too sensitive, grow up, and they get labeled as if they're broken, damaged goods. And they grow up with this feeling of, I'm less than thou. And that becomes an inner enemy. So sometimes there's the outer enemy of the world looking down at them, and then they have this self-sabotage.
Mm-hmm. And you were describing that self-sabotage a little bit to me before, almost as a secondary problem.
Yes.
Do you wanna go into that more?
So you have, let's say, someone who's very depressed, and they're just drowning. But then they have depression that they're depressed, so then they're drowning more. They're digging a deeper pit for themselves. And then they're like not capable of taking that breath and helping themselves do the baby step they need to get out of that depression, or whatever mental or emotional disorder they have. So you have anxiety, and then you have anxiety that you have anxiety. I give an example that I once saw a video of a boy on a wagon, and he's like confronted by this monster. And he's like, he's scared, he's not moving. And then in the video, a slide later, the boy is there, the wagon is there, the monster is there too, but now the monster's in the wagon. And now they're going forward. So we have to demystify this monster, because the monster is not a monster. It's actually the latent gift that you have that wasn't balanced, wasn't channeled in the right way.
Wasn't finding an avenue.
Right. So when you can look at that reality, that the weakness is your greatest strength, then you can take a deep breath. The monster's with you. It's going to take a while till you'll be able to channel it, and it'll get not so monstrous, and then you go forward.
So how would somebody then learn to cope? and learn to channel that.
So I always say knowledge is power. So the more you understand, the more you normalize, the more you can come to terms that this is not this huge monster, then what happens is the enemy within becomes more of a partner. And in this way what happens, the person can be at peace with the process. Because that's half the cure. If you're not going to be at peace with the process, because you're not understanding the problem, then you're going to have the secondary problem.
So there'd be like the difference between knowing that you need to accept what's going on with you and internalizing that you've accepted what's going on with you.
Yes. There's another amazing sentence I like to say. Half-baked understanding of the problem is a half-baked solution. So that's why I started this concept, CBTT. Cognitive behavioral therapy is the way to go in many ways. But it's not really a holistic approach to seeing all the possible problems. And CBTT is taking it a step further. It stands for Cognitive Behavioral Torah Therapy, which is gaining the tools from the Torah to look at a problem holistically. Not just the fact that you may have had trauma as a child, and yes, your circuits may have been frazzled as biology will state. But science also shows us that we can rebuild our circuits. So, one problem may be you have a mushy mind. I coined up that, mushy mind syndrome. One, because of the trauma, or two, because you're not using your brain. I explain to people, your brain is a muscle, and it will get flabby. Absolutely. Science shows us at age 26, peak top functioning of your brain. Soon after, you lose it if you don't use it. It starts to decline. And so if you're not looking at the mushy mind syndrome as possibly the problem, no matter how much, therapy or psychoanalysis or all these other treatments, then you're giving not a full spectrum of the resolution that you want. So we have to guide them to look at, are you using your brain properly? Are you spending the time maybe getting your body fit, but are you spending the time getting your brain fit?
And so what are some of these techniques or styles that you use to begin developing that muscle?
It's so simple, it's crazy. It's unbelievably simple. There's a book actually called 60-Second Fix. And even Torah teaches us. The Rebbe Rashab, one of the great philosopher Rebbes of our Chabad dynasty, says in 1 minute you can change your day, and it can change your brain. And this woman, Dr. Melrose, says in 1 minute, in 40 days, you can change your brain. So it's just 1 minute of deep relaxation, calming the body. Then, with that deep breath of calming the body, you begin to calm your mind. And then the body begins to fix itself and create new neural pathways with either visions of the future of what you want to be, recreating history, like as if you had a great childhood but you didn't, but you outwit your brain. Because the brain doesn't know the difference between past, present, and future. So we talk about the brain being like a garden. If you don't cultivate it and you don't plant the positive seeds in it, then the wild weed will take over. And the brain is like having a tantrum every day, like a 2-year-old. I don't want no more information. I do not. I'm stressed. I'm overload. Kind of give an example. You're going to make a party, and you have the call that the wine didn't come, and the housekeeper calls, she's gonna be late, and you're just stressed out. And then your 2-year-old, like, can you give me on Monday? Monday? I can't even deal with today. So the brain does not want new information. That's the way the brain is. But with a deep breath, relaxing the body, relaxes the mind. And now the brain says, I can cope with this new information. And naturally and organically, the brain can fix itself. Like when you cut your skin. It automatically heals so that it can take out the old and now bring in the new. Whether it's the new habit, the new goal,
Incredible.
or the old tapes of I'm not enough. And even affirmations and visualizing yourself brings the happy chemicals to your brain, like if you went to Disneyland or if you had that great party and you have that vision in your mind.
It's funny you were just saying about like affirmations to yourself, and it made me think of like writing yourself poetry, almost like you're courting yourself. When we were talking earlier, you were talking about becoming your own best friend. Is this kind of that process of learning to be your friend
Yes.
and learning to be friends with that child that's in you that may
Yes.
be having a tantrum?
Yeah, I call it being a virtue finder.
Hmm.
Because we're constantly fault finding, constantly comparing ourselves. And I was at a retreat for the handicapped children, friendship circle, and the theme of that week was friendship is not a luxury, meaning it's a must. We gotta be our own best friends. It's a must. Because if we cannot conquer the enemy within, we can't handle anyone. If we don't, and the Torah teaches us, love yourself, right? You should love yourself so that you can love others. And so the way to tap into that part of the missing picture of the whole solution that one needs. So you can do certain kinds of things, but if you don't tackle this number one, like, goal of being your own best friend, then you're constantly facing a lot of inner enemies that will just try to smash you to the ground, almost to the point where you don't want to live anymore. And it's really sad. It's really sad. Some of the most amazing people come to me for counseling, and I can't believe how amazing they are, and they just see black. And so with time, with giving them the understanding, God made you perfectly imperfect.
And you spoke a little bit about that at the beginning too, about it almost being a blessing, having the issues or having the addiction or that part of the individual that's oversensitive and almost a little wild, that it has a purpose. How do you find yourself directing individuals to realize and really begin to believe that the way they are and what has happened to them, it truly is a blessing, that it was for the good?
So what I explained to them, and this is from Torah teachings all the way back from Maimonides, the famous philosopher, fire, water, air, and earth. And I explained to them, thank God I had the privilege of having 2 different babies in my stomach. And I saw how different they were in my stomach. And I saw how different they were when I diaper changed them. Fire, air, earth, and water are temperaments that we are born with. Now, some people, although all of us have all 4, and all of us have to elevate them and channel them in a good way, some people have really dominant of one or all 4. And if you're a dominant fire, water, air, earth, that means you're gifted with so much extra of these amazing qualities. So let me explain. There's the fire temperament, which is an angry personality, a type of person who has anxiety, OCD. So the more fire you have, if you're not channeling it the proper way, you are going to be more prone to more anger or boasting, arrogance. It plays out in different ways in different people and extremes. So if you have a lot of fire, you're the type of person who has a lot of panic attacks or high levels of anxiety. I had one client, she was catatonic from so much anxiety, and she went from doctors to doctors. It wasn't medical. So then they went psychiatric, and they did physical therapy, all kinds of different things. Nothing was helping. 1 or 2 sessions, and I explained to her that you have a lot of fire. And I helped her learn how to channel it, and she's out of the house now. She was like 8 years catatonic, not being able to move, not being able to even spoon feed herself. In many cases, extreme cases. Now, fire, like in the world, can be damaging, but fire in the world can be great. It keeps you warm, gives you energy, cooks your food, whatever. So fire in a good way is a drive, passion. Fire in a good way is a person that can be in awe and wonderment and just like have such like a passion. So water element is the type of personality that loves pleasure. They're born with loving food. You know, I go back to a story, or loving other things, not just food, alcohol, anything, pleasure. Get me away from the pain, I just want pleasure, right? So I had like a family who lived by my house, all different types of children who went through a trauma, and we adopted them for a little bit. And each one handled the trauma different. One was sleeping all day long, one was eating all day long. It was just each one coped with their trauma because of their temperament. So the water element is a pleasure-seeking type of personality that it just wants and wants pleasure and can't stand the pain. Then there's the earthy element, and that's a type of personality that is like earthy, and in a not good way when it's not channeled. It is depression, heavy-heartedness, I can't cope, just like earth is so heavy to carry. And then there's the air element, and that's like what I call a talkaholic. They just cannot stop talking, and they'll just obsess over saying how damaged they are, how they're a victim, and they keep again and again, and they use their voice in a destructive way. So these four elements can be channeled in a good way. And as we said, the fire, we already said, the water is pleasure in doing acts of kindness, pleasure in learning, you know, because you can have pleasure in music, you can have pleasure in being, you know, Mother Teresa or something like, you know what I mean? There's a pleasure in good and productive things. And then the air element, of course, is just using your voice. Maybe you're gifted as a singer or orator, use it to be a counselor. And then the earth, in a good way, is a type of person who has creativity. They're able to like harness the faculty of imagination in a slow way. They can meditate and contemplate, and they have like a gift of being able to harness that to be maybe the best dancer, because they can use the slowness and precision in action. So that's just like some of the things that we help people understand. So then they say, that's why I'm so angry. It's not because I'm such a meano.
Yeah.
I've been born with fire.
Or not because of what happened to me in the past.
Right, because I have clients, they never had a traumatic childhood, but they have these challenges.
Yeah. That's incredible.
And then they understand that they can accept themselves more. They can say, it's not that I'm a messed up case. So we talked about the mushy mind, getting it to be strong, because why do we want the mind to then help the person to be its own best friend? Because generally speaking, the heart and the emotion works 3 to 4 times faster than the rational part of the mind. So emotionally, we just don't feel good in our own skin because he's said that and he's mistreating me, or she's that. And so then the mind doesn't have the strength to differentiate between the falseness of the reality and the truth.
Unless the chariot driver is strong and fast and responding.
And that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to get them to have the reins over their thoughts. Yeah. Because thoughts create emotions. Emotions create reactions or inaction, meaning caving away and like, you know, not wanting to face the world.
Yeah.
So if we can really take those reins and say, you're a thought that's not healthy for me, and you're stronger, your muscles in your brain are stronger to kick that thought out, then you're going to allow only the good thoughts in, and then the good thoughts will create organically the good emotions. There's a very famous Hasidic teachings, you don't fight darkness with a stick. It's dark.
Yeah.
But, okay, that means just turn on the light. So turning on the light of positive thinking, you won't have to work so hard to break away from your bad emotions.
100%. Like Rebbe Nachman with the find your nakuda, find your good point. If you know what you want, even if you just have one good point and you know what that one good point is, nothing can shake you. because you know you're good, even sometimes when you're not so good.
Yeah, you say I'm perfectly imperfect.
Yeah.
I'm 100% okay that I'm 100% not 100% okay. That's okay. And so like you embrace your imperfection and you accept it as a most amazing compliment because God says to you, I want you to be co-creators in the making of you.
Mm-hmm.
God has so much joy when he creates. I know when I create things, there's so much joy. I just created this book or whatever. And it's, so Hashem, our God, our maker, our creator wants us to have a pleasure in creating our own masterpiece. And I tell people, you don't have to go to the moon and back to like create yourself. You are already there.
Yeah.
God gave you everything. All you have to do is take a deep breath and do the baby steps to more and more reveal what's the hidden treasure by channeling these things in a good way. And I wrote many books to help people. I wrote the Fire, Water, Air, Earth for children. I wrote 10 children's books so children will have it. I wish I had this when I was a child. You know? And I wrote the adult books so that, you know, for those who are already at that age that didn't have it when they were little. And that's my goal. I'm telling you, it's such a pleasure to see people like not suffer as much because they can accept themselves, they can take that deep breath, and they can really be more at peace with the process.
That's why I like working in this field.
Yeah, me too.
I watch it all the time.
Because they're the most real people.
Yeah.
It's not about like, you know, what they're wearing, and it's not about, you know, it's about making a difference. Another day, winning the war of being comfortable in your own skin.
Amazing. Well, thank you, and I hope people will see this video and they get to win that war.
Yeah.
I really appreciate you being here with us today.
I'd like to talk about like the third thing, which is a critical factor, and maybe a fourth. The third one is, and I'm not going to go into details, but I have a lot on YouTube. It's already there. But since maybe for now it'll make them go want to look for more.
Yeah.
And actually, I am coming out with a health and happiness book. Health,
Health,
diet. There's many books out there. Green Brain, this, that's showing that if you change your diet, you can decrease OCD, panic attacks. That's another factor. Because if you do all the deep breathing and all the meditation, but you're going to sabotage with a high sugar, high gluten content diet, and like you're going to have brain fog, and you're going to feel sluggish, and you're going to feel emotional.
Of course.
You know, so that's another key factor. And the next factor is what is the spiritual factor that's missing.
That's a big one too. So we've got ideas for our next videos now.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Amazing.